Hi, my name is Ella and I'm one of the co-hosts of the podcast Thanks for Your Concern, and every week we do plugs of the week, which is just our recommendations for the week. And this week we're doing things a little bit differently, so I'm going to do a video recommendation. So this week's episode focused on mental health. It's called episode 7, Anxiety the Musical, and we just sit down with our friend Kylie and we talk about like our mental health journeys, tell some jokes, have some fun. But my recommendations this week are going to be for 3 books that have really helped me with my anxiety and my mental health in general. So if you're interested in this, stick around. My first recommendation is called The Untethered Soul by Mike Singer, and this book is a little bit different than most typical self-help books. I sometimes have issues with self-help books that are just about like toxic positivity or just like, oh, just like do better without giving really like resources. But instead this book kind of hopes to change your perspective on what you can and can't control, and that includes like your mind and, you know, how you talk to yourself. So one of my favorite quotes from this book is, "There's nothing more important to true growth than realizing that you are not the voice of the mind, you are the one who hears it." So just kind of each of us have an inner critic, and sometimes that person isn't very helpful. So it talks about how to rethink your own thoughts and really just kind of retrain your brain to be happier and more positive. And I really loved this book. It also talks about things you can and you can't control, and the world is crazy right now. So when you kind of like let go of what you can't control, you end up being a happier person. So really loved this book. It's also an audiobook, so 10 out of 10 recommend. My second book is actually a fiction book, and it's called The Alchemist by Paulo. And I read this book for the first time maybe about a year ago. And the first time I read it like 3 times in a row. It's a super easy read. You can read it in about 2.5 hours. But it just talks about a man on like a quest and journey, and like what I love about this book is that everyone can draw their own conclusions from it because it is fiction. But everyone that I've talked to that has read this book kind of feel the same way, where it just really gives you a new perspective on how struggles push you towards your goal in a way that's not like fed down your throat. So my favorite quote from this book is, "It's the possibility of having a dream come true that makes life interesting." So personally, I read this book and it really shifted my goals and my dreams to more align with what truly I wanted and not like the expectations of others. And I felt that this book was really helpful. It's a really quick read, so I'd recommend it literally to everyone. And then my third recommendation is called the Cognitive Behavioral Therapy Workbook. So I've been going to cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, for on and off for 4 years now. And what that really is a lot of your anxieties or things you might be depressed about are irrational thoughts. And what it does is like it trains your brain to take an irrational thought that is like a trigger for your anxiety and make it a more helpful thought. And it really, the workbook literally steps you through it. And on this episode we talk a lot about therapy, and I talk about me going to therapy and how much it's helped me. But I know that therapy isn't accessible to everybody, so you can take the step to help your anxiety by just like working through this workbook, or even just doing a worksheet. So I'm gonna link those down below. Those were really helpful, and these are things that I've used in therapy and have been recommended by my therapist. So those are my 3 recommendations and my plugs of the week. Make sure that you subscribe to our podcast, Thanks for Your Concern. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere, any podcast platform. You should also go ahead and give us a follow on our Instagram. Our Instagram is Thanks for Your Concern, and I would love for you to like comment or let me know some book recommendations that you have. Who knows, they could be future plugs of the week, and I will guarantee you I will read them because I have plenty of time in quarantine. So go listen to the latest episode. Have a good one.